Look at it. Now that your dog's a pro at using a scratch board, how do you know when their nails are getting short enough and when they're about to be too short? I'm Laura. I'm a dog trainer and dog groomer who specializes in nail trimming, and I'm going to show you when it's time to stop a scratchboard session. Scratchboards are a great way to file your dog's nails, but I don't recommend them if your dog has curly nails, nails that turn out to the sides, arthritis, or allergies that affect their feet. If any of those are your dog, I recommend using another method of trimming their nails rather than using a scratchboard. It's also not a good idea to use a scratchboard if your dog's nails are so long that they might splinter, break, or put a lot of excess pressure on the dog's nail beds. So the 3 things you need to know when to stop a scratchboard session are when the shortest nail on either paw is close to the quick, when your dog opts out or looks conflicted, frustrated, or tired, or when your session has hit 3 minutes. So now let's get into the details. You want to end your session when the shortest of your dog's nails is close to the quick. I don't mean the literal shortest nail necessarily, but the nail that's closest to being filed to the quick. Scratching down close to the quick is important to get the quicks to move backwards, and I'm going to explain more about what that looks like a little later in the video. Your dog might give you some signals that you're getting close to the quick, or they might not. Some things to watch out for are opting out by walking away or doing other tricks they know instead of scratching. Dogs will often switch to lightly tapping the board rather than scratching, or they may look anxious by starting to walk quickly back and forth or even whining and barking. It's important to watch for these signals and learn how to know when nails are getting short enough, because some dogs are so food motivated, they'll scratch past the start of the quick. You don't want your dog to feel conflicted between wanting the treats but starting to get uncomfortable because of the scratch board. Your dog also might be slowing down because they're getting bored or tired, and that's totally okay. Always listen to your dog if they no longer seem engaged. Give them a treat for letting you know that they're done and come back to it another day. And for the dogs that keep scratching because it's fun, that's why I recommend stopping sessions at 3 minutes. Before sessions start, inspect your dog's nails and pads if possible so you can compare how they look after they've scratched for a few minutes. If your dog won't let you near their feet, you can also use your cell phone camera to zoom in and take pictures. Short sessions also make sure your dog doesn't scuff their pads too much, especially if your dog doesn't fully extend their nails when they scratch. As you practice, you want to work towards getting better scratches by heavily reinforcing the scratches where they fully extend their nails and rewarding the scratches where they hit their pads less often. I recommend rewarding every other time for the scratches that aren't so good and rewarding with extra treats for the really good ones. It's also a good idea to keep sessions short for your dog's joints and muscles if they're not used to scratchboarding or they aren't very active. This is especially important if your dog's older or for any of the scratchboard angles that aren't flat, where your dog has to raise their arm and shoulder more than they're used to. For us, it would be like going to our first kickboxing class when we haven't worked out in months or if we're over 40. So set a timer for 3 minutes, and when the time's up, give your dog a treat, check their nails and pads, and move on with your day. If they don't let you look in that moment, you can also sneak a peek later when they're relaxing, but don't touch their feet if they're not okay with that. When you're looking at your dog's pads, you may see some white appear from being scuffed on the scratchboard. Some white is normal as long as your dog's feet aren't more sensitive after a scratchboard session, but any amount of pink means they've scratched too much. If your dog is regularly walking or running on cement or pavement, a 3-minute scratchboard session isn't going to damage their pads even if they aren't fully extending their nails, but still try to reward those fully extended scratches so they learn to scratch their nails instead of their pads. Because long nails damage the bone structure of the dog's feet, my personal opinion is that the benefits of scratchboarding far outweigh any risks of pad injuries, especially when using a scratchboard in moderation. So back to stopping when the shortest nail is getting too short. How can we tell? For white or tan nails, you can watch the change in color of the nail as it gets closer to the quick. To get the quicks to recede, you want to have your dog scratch all the way up to the color change, but not all dogs feel comfortable scratching to this point, which is why we always want to be watching their behavior like we just discussed. At the point of color change, your dog also might get a tiny bit too close to the quick. So while you're learning where to stop, you may want to leave a little bit of a buffer before the change in color. You can see on this nail that there's a tiny speck of red because it's very slightly too close to the quick. But luckily, the tip of the quick is very small, so as long as you catch it right away, the nail won't start actually bleeding. This tends to only happen on dogs who get a little carried away because they're having a good time. With black nails, you can tell by the change in thickness of the nail. As they scratch closer to the quick, the thickness of the nail at the end will be similar to the thickness of the nail at the base, rather than the smaller circumference of the nail when you first start. When you get closer to the quick, the angle of curvature of the nail is also much less pronounced. This takes some practice to see, so let's also look underneath some nails to see what they look like as we get closer to the quick. This is another example of nails that are scratched a little too short because this dog also gets very excited about scratching. For her, it's again not a huge deal, but something to keep in mind for future sessions so you can stop your dog a little sooner. Before getting to this point, you'll slowly start to see a small dot and then a larger dot. It can be hard to see the underside with the naked eye, especially if your dog won't let you handle their feet. And this is where using your camera again can both make it easier to see and you can save the pictures for reference later. On some other nails, the scuffing on the nail makes it hard to see a dot, in which case you'll need to keep looking at the circumference of the nail and the angle of the curvature. So whether you're looking at your dog's nails from above or below, it's likely that some nails will be shorter than others, even if only slightly. The shortest nail is the only nail that matters for knowing when it's time to stop. Once that shortest nail is close to the quick, you have to stop your session no matter what, so that that nail doesn't keep hitting the board accidentally, even if you're aiming for the longer nails. Practice changing the angle early on in the session if you see any nails getting shorter than the others so that you still have extra nail left on the nail that's getting worn down the fastest. For help with this, check out my video on tricks for uneven nails, which is linked below in the description. Getting nails to the right length with scratchboarding means going as short as possible without going over. Think Price is Right rules. So when any of your dog's nails have visible circles, or if you see a clear color change from one part of the nail to the next, or if the circumference of the nail is getting similar to the base of the nail, stop your session and wait at least a few days to see if the nails have grown out enough to scratch again. If you're still not sure when to stop with your dog's individual nails, I offer one-on-one coaching and feedback on scratchboard training and nail length, and you can find my website listed below. Remember that our 3 things to watch out for are the shortest nail, your dog opting out, and our 3-minute timer. If you're ever not sure if you're getting too close to the quick, always err on the side of caution. Pause to check, stop for the day, and re-watch this video if needed. Because as someone told me when I first started grooming, you can always take more off, but you can't put it back on. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe so I can keep creating nail care content. And a big thank you to Zosky for co-starring in this video. That's good.